Folks, 3 up and 3 down. We have mowed down the first 3 weekends of college baseball. I keep looking at my screen because we got some new fancy cameras here, David Kahn. We're trying to test some new product. We're pushing new product. We're doing big things here at 3D. Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. At 3D Dingers on Twitter, on X. Dugouts, Dumbbells, Dingers on YouTube is where you can find us. No special character. Dugouts, Dumbbells, Dingers. Please subscribe. Help us build the channel wherever you podcast. College Sports Now, that is the feed. Hartsville Norlander holding down the men's basketball conversation, which, of course, is more important than ever right now. We understand that. We might be getting buried, but we are doing our service, the goodwill, to bring to you baseball talk here over the next 45 minutes, David, because at SportsCon4, at Cal Schass is where you can find us on Twitter, on X. This is going to be an immaculate show. Immaculate. We had a couple of immaculate innings, very efficient, 9 strikes, 3 strikeouts. You had one with Appalachian State against Gardner-Webb. More on that coming up in box score bingo. You had one with Parker Coyle against Charlotte on Sunday also. We'll get to that, and we'll get to our Borgoball backyard breakdown. That's right, Borgoball, one of our new partners. We introduced them last week. But we've got to start with story time. I mean, you and I were both on assignment this past weekend, and not only were we about to be on assignment again as soon as this show is over, we're going to be hopping in the car and going to Greenville to cover the SEC Women's Basketball Tournament. Listen to that on Sirius XM Radio, the Varsity Network app. If you haven't downloaded that already, you were doing it wrong. But, Con, you took in some Wake Forest, I and Georgia Southern and Campbell. We could do a show for an hour probably about each of those. You had one game, I had an entire series. But how did you enjoy yourself this past weekend? Wetting the beak and getting back behind the bike, calling some baseball.
Dude, it was great. At first, it was just so fun to call some baseball on the radio. I don't enjoy baseball on TV. I got to tell you, it's just not the same. Baseball on the radio is the way it's supposed to be done, and I love it. And it was just beautiful to call a game that way. The game itself was incredible. Maryland started up 4-0 in the top of the first, went up 5-0. Wake then scores 6 in the bottom of the third with 2 dongs, like literal dongs. It was amazing. Cade Lewis and Jimmy Keenan smack jobs that were no doubters. And then they tied it in the top of the fourth with a Hollis Porter home run to tie it at 6. 5, 6, 7, 8 goes like this. I mean, it's like lightning quick. Wakes up 8-6. They go to the top of the ninth. They get the first 2 outs quickly. Then they walk the leadoff man. So big, heavy hitters coming up here for Maryland. And Tom Walter goes and gets Josh Gunther, who's been so lights out all season. And he's struck out the last 9 men he's faced. He gets the number 2-hole hitter, 0-2, base hit. Gets the number 3-hole hitter, 0-2, base hit. Gets the number 4-hole hitter, 0-2, base hit, run scores. 5-hole, base hit, tie game. 6-hole, base hit, Maryland leads. And then we go to the bottom of the ninth. Wake gets the first 2 on in the 7 and 8 spots. The 9-hole guy bunts them over, so it's second and third, 1 out, winning run at second base. Then it was a pop out, a shallow fly to left. Couldn't score the run from third, and then a pop out to right to end the game. With Merrick Houston, who's the best contact hitter on this team for Wake Forest, swinging at the first pitch that was out of the zone. I mean, it was a cacophony of mistakes. It was rough. That was a game that Wake should not have lost. It was a very, very tough loss for the Deacs. First loss for them in the non-con at home since 2021. They'd won 65 in a row.
Cacophony.
Cacophony.
Yeah. Love that word.
Yeah.
For me, 3 games, Georgia Southern and Campbell, the Eagles. The lead here is they won the series in what was a bonkers, wild back-and-forth series that seemingly had everything. An official scorekeeper's nightmare. And we'll get to more of the details of this with box score bingo. We had a 35-1 ball game. Oregon dismantling Columbia this past weekend. We'll dive into that Appalachian State and Gardner-Webb series also. And I think there's one other one I wanted to touch on, but we'll get to that in a moment. But the thing with Georgia Southern was so much history, so much tradition. They just hosted a regional in 2022. That was the one that Notre Dame had won at J.I. Clement Stadium before going to Tennessee and defeating that generational Tennessee team. Little do we know they would return to Omaha again in consecutive years after that, and then finally climbing baseball's tallest mountain. So it's a moment, as Tony Vitello told us in the fall, it was a moment that hardened them. But back to Statesboro, Rodney Hennon is in his 26 years as the head coach. He became the all-time winningest head coach at Georgia Southern on Friday night. just a stalwart of consistency and what he's been able to build there. 7 total regionals. He's had 30-plus wins every single season, except for 2 completed years, not counting the 2020 season. So just a model of consistency and the humility attached to Rodney as well. Just a tremendous individual, one of the best I've ever worked with in my young broadcasting career. And I've been around some Titans for sure, but Rodney is viewed in that way in college baseball circles. And while, yeah, he doesn't have a College World Series appearance, Georgia Southern as a program does have 2. Back in the 70s, Jack Stallings, it was his predecessor, whom he had overtook, had taken them to 1 College World Series. Then in 1990, Georgia Southern actually eliminated Wichita State. It was the defending national champion at that time. So, this program invests in baseball as a Sun Belt program, and you see that across a lot of the, non-high major teams, especially in the Sun Belt Conference, because it's in that SEC footprint. Tremendous facilities, $10 million facility being built. Rodney Hennon is a big reason why all of this and the fan support and the community support, all of these things are happening at Georgia Southern, and he continues to do it, right? So 860 wins comes on Friday night in a 6-5, 10-inning win, solo home run from Daniel Habb in the top of the 10th inning. But David, Georgia Southern was down 5-2 entering the ninth, scored 3 runs with 2 outs to tie it, send it to the 10th inning. But here's the kicker. I say all that about Rodney Hennon because the lead here, I buried it, but I'm trying to build the drama. So Rodney is chasing down this milestone victory over Jack Stallings, which Georgia Southern 4-5 out of the gate, and they had a Wednesday midweek game after a loss to Charleston, this being last week, postponed because of a water main break as part of that $10 million construction next to J.I. Clements Stadium. So that could have been 860 there. Poor old Danny Reed, the voice of Georgia Southern, had to go break the water main, and he doesn't get to call the 860. Well, here's the thing. Rodney Hennon did not get to see in the flesh live his team provide him with that milestone victory because he got ejected in the top of the 6th inning. The man got ejected with Georgia Southern leading 2-0 in the 6th, disputing a runner's interference on a drop-down bunt in front of the plate. Andy Schultz, who's an absolute dude for Campbell. This guy mashed with 8 RBIs through the first 2 games. Okay? He had 2 home runs on Friday night. He was responsible for all 5 runs. So at that moment, after Schultz's throw went into the first baseline, there's no safety bag at Campbell. So there's a lot of this going on, right? You have Florida, and this is a long monologue, I apologize. You had Florida and you had Stetson in the midweek last week. Stetson protesting the call. And it's hard to argue that Florida wasn't awarded the correct result because of that with the baseline and how if it's thrown outside the bag, you got to take the white bag. If it's inside, you got to take the green bag. There's a lot of minutia here to pick apart with the safety bag, and it's creating – we think it's going to solve all of the world's problems, but really it's going to create more issues and controversy. And we saw that on Friday night at Campbell, but there was no bag. Hab's just running straight down the first base line, and the throw just so happens to hit him. They rule him safe. They rule a run comes in for Georgia Southern to make it 3-0. Well, they go to the headsets. They go and review the play. They come out. They overturn it. Rodney Hennon loses his mind. And credit Brian Peterson, the home plate umpire. I don't envy any of his positions, just like the scorekeeper for the weekend, David. And I know you can relate. Even as a fill-in broadcaster, my book is a mess. I mean, I'm throwing it to the side. Screw it. I'm all in on the stat broadcast. I can't compute what is going on in my book in front of me. But the umpire comes out, Brian Peterson, and he does not want to run the legend at Georgia Southern and Rodney Hennon. He is giving him grace. He is being patient. He is tolerating Hennon at every turn, who, the intensity is just ratcheting and dialing up more by the second. Hennon is starting to spew venom in ways that Peterson can no longer ignore. And finally, after I would say at least a good 3 minutes, it had to be at least 3 minutes of Peterson just taking it and the other umpires just kind of, refereeing, just chaperoning, if you will, finally gives Hennon the boot. So Hennon had to watch his team. At that point, 2-0, he gets ejected. Andy Schultz hits the first of his 2 homers in the bottom of the 6th inning, hits the next one in the bottom of the 7th inning. All of a sudden, 2-0, now 5-2, you trail. But the resiliency, they come back, they put together some good at-bats, 3 unearned runs, mind you, okay? There was an error involved in the bottom of the 9th inning. They tie, go to the 10th, they win. Rodney Hennon is watching the end of that game from the charter bus beyond the right field bullpen, watching on Flow Sports. Now, you could say, David Kahn, I am incredibly insulted that he was not listening on the Varsity Network app. However, I understand that this titan, this juggernaut of the game, the face of Georgia Southern baseball in so many ways, in taking the torch from Jack Stallings and those before him, and all of the players and his family and the community and the university itself, all of the sport, he's got to see it. He needs the eagle eyes to be able to see what is going on. So that's just Friday night, okay? We'll get into more as part of Box Score Bingo, but it was incredibly fun. Buies Creek, North Carolina, there is nothing there but Campbell. Okay, no. There is nothing there. Do not fool yourself. The town
don't go there.
Yeah, don't go. There's no reason. Now, Campbell. Oh my God. Get off my soapbox here. It's a beautiful, quaint little facility. Jim Perry Stadium. Yes. His brother is Gaylord. Gaylord's 31 is on the right field wall. He didn't even play because he got drafted more highly. Now, he did come and take classes in the offseason of his minor league development, but Perry, multiple Cy Young Award wins. That's Gaylord. Jim Perry even got himself one who the stadium is named after. He played at Campbell, first set of brothers to be enshrined at the Athletic Hall of Fame. So there is a lot of history there, which is pretty cool. It's a unique all-synthetic surface. You got the big, obnoxious, interlocking Camel and C out in center field, which certainly did Campbell in the ninth inning come game 3. But we'll get to that as we move along here today. Have I talked long enough, David Kahn? I'm about to call 4 games along with you, and I called 10 hours and 35 minutes of baseball this past weekend, 319, 340, 336. Baseball gods did me no favors, okay?
Dude.
And here we go with the SEC women's basketball tournament this week.
I'm with you because, like, I was about to say, isn't the game supposed to be faster now? You know how long my Wake Forest game was? 3 hours and 41 minutes. I was exhausted. And then I had to come in here, and I love my job. This is not me complaining. I'm echoing what Schass is saying. I came in here and did a 10 p.m. West Virginia basketball tip at BYU, only to watch them get run out of the gym while the #1 recruit in college basketball, who's going to Provo next year and making 8.5 in his bag, is sitting there in the stands watching this thing, unfold. I was destroyed on Sunday. Like, I couldn't get out of bed. I normally am up at the crack of dawn, like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I didn't leave my bed until 11. I was destroyed. So, anyways, let's speed this up.
I would much rather have the Sunday night tip, though, because I had to be here for Duke on Monday night, trying to get packed. I had to pack this morning, trying to get charts done, trying to prepare. I got into the office at 8:30 a.m. on Monday after being away for 2 nights, okay, and calling baseball. In my mind, I've been going 1,000, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, but our listeners may not care. Hey, look, if you don't give a shit, let us know. Slide in my DMs, okay? Let me educate you. Say it to my face. Say it to my face. Send me a personalized video, all right? I'm out there at Kyle Schass, IG, TikTok, at Kyle Schass. Just get at me. If you like story time, if you like us giving you a glimpse into your life, which I know you do, otherwise you wouldn't be still listening, then just enjoy it, okay?
Yeah, but you forgot one story, Schass, that you tweeted about last week, or you X'd,
hang on,
whatever the hell it is.
Let's save that because that is my hat tip.
Oh, okay.
That is my hat tip, all right?
All right. All right. I've got a follow up to that hat tip though. So when you get it, I'm gonna back end it.
Before you take the baton and get this show back on the tracks, because I really would like to be done in less than 30 minutes. Really, we have to be. Okay, we got a little bit of a late start, which is certainly protocol for us. Georgia Southern is featured on baseballbarbecue.com. You can get Georgia Southern specific merchandise, grilling tools, these utensils, the handiwork that is involved with the woodworking, the baseball bat at the end of the grill utensils, the spatula, the tongs, even the wooden cutting block that can be in the shape of home plate. Georgia Southern is one of those partners of Baseball Barbecue. So Campbell is too. So Georgia Southern and Campbell, I had a baseball barbecue fiesta this past weekend out at Buies Creek, North Carolina. Make sure you go to baseballbarbecue.com if you want to support either of those programs, or maybe it's Alabama, maybe it's App State. We've already hit on them. We've hit on Arkansas. I'm just reading down the line. Auburn, champions from the weekend for one of the high-profile tournaments that Kyle is going to talk about here in a moment. Florida State, Louisiana Tech, full-time director of broadcasting job is open. I know that might tickle your fancy, Mr. David Kahn. Ole Miss, Tennessee, TCU, baseballbarbecue.com, 3D-20 is the code. There it is. 20% off. 3D-20. Find them on Twitter and X at Baseball Barbecue, or go to baseballbarbecue.com. All right, Con.
All right. First off, I need a snarling camel home plate. Like, looks like this. I need that logo on a plate. On a home plate cutting board, I need it.
That camel is busted. That camel is busted looking.
It is. It is
Yeah.
indeed. I just need that in my life. I just want to put that out there. All right, before we get to the results from the weekend in the Frisco College Classic, Astros Foundation College Baseball Series, Las Vegas Classic, and the Clemson Brooming of South Carolina, I want to talk a little undefeated, Schass, because there were 16 last week. There is only 7 left in college baseball. We have, from the SEC, Alabama, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. From the ACC, UNC and Florida State. We have West Virginia and Murray State. That's it. That's all. We got 7 left, and I just want to put it out there that I think all of them will lose this month.
So we will have no remaining unbeatens after the month of March. Is that bold of a take, though?
No.
Okay.
It's not. It's not. But I will say, I should probably preface this by saying I think Tennessee will probably be the latest of the ones to lose, but they will lose by the end of March. That's probably a better take to put out there, because I looked at the schedules and I broke down these
teams. Did you work at
okay?
each one? You looked at each remaining schedule?
I did.
Okay.
So, let's just go in order, all right?
Take
so we'll start with Alabama. Alabama, their biggest win over NC State, and then the comeback over Ohio State in the Jacks Classic 2 weekends ago, right? But that win over Ohio State's looking less and less impressive because the Buckeyes are making a habit of blowing leads. They're 1-8 on the season. They've lost 5 in a row. They blew another one to Oregon State this weekend in their other tournament. So that win is looking less and less impressive because Ohio State's bullpen is garbage. Alabama, big midweek this week at Troy. I'm saying the Trojans win that game and end the Crimson Tide's undefeated run. Now we go to North Carolina, who I said last week was the most impressive start to the year, with sweeps over Texas Tech and East Carolina. They have another big midweek against Coastal Carolina, number 24 in the country, and then they open ACC play this weekend with Stanford coming to the Bosch. I don't think there's any way they sweep Stanford, so I'll say they lose in the weekend series to Stanford. So that's 2 teams that are going to lose this week. You look at Tennessee. Statement wins over Oklahoma State and Arizona last weekend in Houston. Remember, we had said Tennessee hadn't played anybody, so while the results were impressive, we wanted to see what they would do against stiffer competition. Well, they went 3-0 in Houston this weekend. They won the Astros Foundation College Classic, 2 statement wins. However, sneaky midweek this week with Xavier, number 2 in the RPI, Xavier. It's at Lindsey Nelson. So I don't know if I'm not going to say Tennessee loses that game, but I say Tennessee loses by the end of March with SEC play getting underway in 2 weeks.
What do you got? Xavier is number 1 in RPI right now. Have you refreshed today? I don't know what results there might have been yesterday.
I'm on NCAA. I'm on NCAA baseball D1 RPI. Southern Illinois is at number 1 for me.
I'm seeing Xavier 1, Clemson 2, Southern Illinois at 3. That's 9.
Okay, I've got Clemson RPI. 3. Okay. I've got Clemson 3. So just a little bit of variety. Okay. It's all right. It's all right. RPI too early to be talking about it anyways. But Florida State hasn't played anybody yet. So I'm just going to throw out that they'll lose this month. I don't know. ACC play begins this week for some, not for all, but they haven't played anybody. So I don't really know about them yet. Oklahoma, 4th rated team in the RPI, according to NCAA.com. They've beaten Oregon State, UVA, Texas Southern twice. However, them boys from Dallas Baptist going to get the Sooners tonight. All right? They're going to Dallas, and they're going to get Baptist. They're going to get baptized, all right, by DBU.
DBU going to baptize the Sooners?
That's right.
Is that your surefire hot con take?
That's my surefire. We got to come up with a better name for it. But
we do.
You can take that to the bank. All right.
Oh, you can take that.
Yeah.
To the bank. All right. Okay.
Bang. All right. And then
I'm 1 for 1 because I said Tennessee would lose, but I did pick Southern Miss over.
You
TCU.
did. You got that win over TCU. Good for you. West Virginia also has not played anybody. They opened Big 12 play in 2 weekends in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. They're not going to O'Brate Stadium and coming back undefeated. It ain't happening. So they might win the series. They're a good team, but I don't think they're going to sweep Oklahoma State. And then you got Murray State, number 5 in the country. Number 5 in the country in RPI, but they've played nobody. They're going to lose this week in Oxford against Ole Miss in the midweek. So I'm saying by the end of the next weekend, in 2 weekends, most of these teams going to have a loss on the ledger. I think FSU and Tennessee have the most likely opportunity to be the last 2 unbeatens in college baseball.
See, I disagree. I've got Florida State up right now. I think Florida State is one of the more likely teams. Now, I'd have to look at all 7 side by side. I'm just taking what you just said and trying to process it all in real time. But, just for shits, because I know FSU hasn't played anyone at 11-0, looking at their schedule, I mean, they're going to have 3 ACC series, because the ACC is going to start up this weekend.
Well, not for everyone. FSU, I think,
everyone.
starts next weekend, but it does start this weekend for Wake and North Carolina.
Yeah, so Florida State's going to have, not to mention a midweek with Florida, okay, coming up. So they've got Florida in the midweek. They got Lipscomb this weekend. Florida after that. That's coming up on March 11th. But they got BC, Miami, another midweek with Florida. So you've got 2 midweeks with Florida this week. And then Notre Dame, which is in South Bend, Link Jarrett's return, okay, to the land of the Golden Dome. So I just think there's a lot of real potential landmines and reasons, not to say FSU is not going to bring their A game and isn't motivated, but these teams that they are playing, there's a little bit more at stake. There's a little bit more variance in terms of motivation and playing for a little bit something more. Miami and Florida State, obviously the rivalry that exists there within the Sunshine State, and then Notre Dame, with Link Jarrett going back. I don't think Boston College will take one, but crazier things have happened. It is early in the season. You're still carving out and defining so many roles, even at the beginning of the league year and throughout the entire year. I mean, this is a process. Sure, you want to know who you are by the time we're in the middle of league play, and at least you should have a pretty good understanding. But teams we talk about it each year. And this goes for any sport. You want to be playing your best and rounding into form and peaking at the time the postseason is starting. And that's what's most important here. This isn't a one-bid ACC, right? Like Florida State at 11-0, we expect them, a team that was in Omaha last year, to get back there again or at least be knocking on the door. So you can afford some losses. Just don't do what Florida did last year because, my goodness, I mean, their entire NCAA tournament hopes were on life support, it seemed like, after 1 month of the season. And they were able to somehow win their way in thanks to their performance in Hoover at the end of the year. You know what I was thinking about? And this is quickly off track, but I was thinking about Hoover because we're going to Greenville this week in the new format with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league. And the SEC is doing, thank God the ACC got rid of pool play, number one, right? Top 3 teams aren't invited. Is that what we're doing? Okay, yes.
Top 2. So there's 2 teams don't even play baseball for the ACC, SMU and Syracuse.
Yeah.
So that all 16 are going.
Okay, they're all there, but we're doing a single elimination type thing.
Just like the SEC tournament, yes.
Which is what the SEC is. What about these teams? Greg Sankey, I think this might backfire on Sankey, who you will talk to this week on Saturday in Greenville against SiriusXM Varsity Network app. It'll be between both semifinals. Your first conversation with Sankey, I've talked to him a few times. Great dude. He spent a lot of time on Paul Feinbaum yesterday. I was going to text you, so if you want to watch that and help soak it up to get your juices flowing, feel free to find that on social media or wherever. But teams that are on the bubble in the SEC, I mean, of course, any conference commissioner, any fan of a league, and wants to represent is going to want as many teams as possible. We might have teams that aren't going to have the opportunity to win one game and then earn a couple of more opportunities within the league tournament. So that could end up, backfiring. That it could be won in barbecue in tournaments like the SEC and even the ACC. You want to talk about the winners? I think Florida State is going to. This is my declaration. There will be, just to go opposite, but two, I believe there's enough chaos that can happen, and maybe I'll drill down more on these numbers when I have more time in my life, because look, sleep is at an all-time shortage. Caffeine is at an all-time high in terms of the intake. I'm already 1 Zyn in this morning and 1 coffee in this morning, and that'll be multiplied by 6, 7, I don't know, by night's end. We're going to enjoy ourselves a nice dinner. You and I are roommates. We should also reveal that. We're going to be spending more time together throughout this week like we do in Hoover. I'll try to show some restraint in terms of the way I conduct myself in my own home, but I might not care that you're in there.
I don't care.
Okay, all right, good.
You don't in Hoover. We got to find another movie. All right, we got to find another movie to watch on Saturday night.
What the hell was the name of the movie we watched
on
Saturday night last year?
It was so bad. I don't know.
It's got that guy. It's got that guy in it who's awful and not funny. That guy.
It was terrible. That was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Netflix. I wish I knew that actor's name. Do you remember that actor's name offhand?
No. All I remember was that it was wasn't there like a break-in to like a important
they
party?
Worked at the fancy hotel. They were like bell people. And then they ended up saving the hotel.
Yes.
Because you had like some Russian or some Russians
foreign,
if he wasn't Russian, but some mobster.
Foreign entity.
Some gangster came in, they took over the party, and then there was like a rapper that they were trying to like infiltrate and get information from them. God, that was terrible. And then it just had those goofy, that wasn't even goofy, it's just dumb, because I don't want to pat him on the back and say someone was goofy about it, because that might mean that like I liked it. I don't know. But wasn't there like a brain exploding or some? No, there was some body parts exposed and very heinous. So we'll leave it at that. Yes, it got chopped. Okay, that's enough there. We'll put a pin in that. All right, biggest results from one team will be undefeated is what I'm getting at after March.
Got it.
I don't know who it is, but put me down for one undefeated by the time we get into April. Biggest results for the weekend. Let me try to recall. You filled out the doc. Love you for it. Before we get to the tournaments, Clemson sweeps South Carolina. Holy moly. How about the dugout setup or the bullpen setup at Clemson with the South Carolina pitchers basically warming up down the left field line? Did you see the video of this? Like, there's no Paul Maneri said after, bless him, he's like, I don't know if there's any security down there. But like the fans are right on top of the bullpen down the left field line. It was insane. It was low scoring. Clemson only scored like 5 runs in 2 of the games. They put up more in the third, but like they won. I mean, they just flat out beat South Carolina. There wasn't a lot of fight, not a lot of good at bats from the Gamecocks, swinging early in counts. Clemson got him. Shane Bieber came out through the first pitch one of the days. It was rocking in the direction of Clemson this past weekend. And then you had Florida taking 2 out of 3 from Miami. That was another one. I don't even know if we got to it last week, but the Gators picked up 2 out of 3. They suffered their first loss this past weekend, but won a series they should have. And then the tournaments. I already mentioned South Carolina or Southern Miss beating TCU. That took a rubber match on Sunday because Southern Miss had lost, right? I think game 1, and then had to come back and win the final 2. And this is some very high level baseball. I mean, you talk about baseball IQ and certainly tradition, history, pedigree, much like Georgia Southern, which I talked about at the beginning of the show. The way Southern Miss is just wired, even when you get a guy, a new coaching change in with Christian Ostrander come in. I mean, just picking up right where Southern Miss left off beforehand. So Frisco, that went to LSU. We've got more on LSU coming up after our first break on the show, which we'll take here in moments. Con, don't worry. Astros Foundation Challenge. It's not called Minute Maid Park anymore. Dakin? I don't know.
Park. Dakin Park. Astros Foundation College Classic. Yes.
And that went to Tennessee.
3-0. Yep.
College baseball series. This is where I need help because I know the Las Vegas one went to Texas, but college baseball series, Vanderbilt dropped 2 games. So who won that one?
Vanderbilt was not in the college baseball series. The college baseball series was
thinking
Auburn.
Of the California. Yeah.
You are. So college baseball series was Auburn, Ohio State, Oregon State, and Baylor. And Auburn won 3-0, including a run rule of Ohio State. Look out for the Tigers. They're 11-1.
Man, just showing you Mitch Thompson that last year was an anomaly. Trying to
missing
the right
Hoover.
buttons. Yeah, not getting to Hoover, not having the arms, not having the horses. There are pieces there. I mean, Ike Irish is one of the best. I brought him up last week. He's phenomenal in terms of throwing out base runners, just getting on base. He was a double machine his freshman year, an All-American. Took somewhat of a step back relative to the production he had his freshman year. But, I mean, that dude is there's nobody I may want as a backstop more in this country if I'm a pitcher than Ike Irish, just in terms of his leadership. And they're 11-1 here right out of the gate. So, and we featured them with Cade Ballou. I mean, the emotional moment, opening weekend, when his mom dies, finds out in the morning, he plays, he hits the home run. I mean, Auburn is a great story here so far. Comeback team of the year, potentially.
Maybe.
Mitch Thompson has that thing on the tracks. Let's pull up if you want to wax on any of those results, and we'll spend more time on Frisco in a moment, but you go ahead. I'm going to look up, because I know Vanderbilt went 1-2 out in California, featured UCLA, USC, and UConn. So I'm going to
so I only really want to wax on Clemson, South Carolina. You already mentioned the crowds. They were amazing. The atmosphere, the bullpen atmosphere for South Carolina when they're warming up at Clemson. Paul Maneri was all over that in his post-game presser, and he was, Paul Maneri is so even-keeled. It's incredible because that could have bothered a less veteran coach, but not Paul Maneri. He's like, I'm going to make a joke about it, even though they got swept. Like, that was a pretty cool thing to see. I want to talk about the pitching, though, because Clemson's pitching was disgusting. Ethan Darden, MVP of the series for the Tigers, 7 shutout on Saturday. And then you got Justin Lagurnick and Joe Allen combining for 12 strikeouts across 7 scoreless. I think Joe Allen went like 3 hitless as well. I mean, the pitching. And Aiden Kanak wasn't that bad either. 4 2/3, I think 4 runs maybe, but 9 Ks. Clemson's got some dudes on the mound, all right. And I don't want to shade away from South Carolina because they got 2 really good starts out of Jake McCoy and Dylan Eskew through quality starts. But the problem was South Carolina didn't get help from their offense on Saturday, and the bullpen blew up on Sunday. So I think of the 2 teams you're comparing them, just mano-a-mano, Clemson is the more complete team. They did get some really good offensive bursts on Saturday. You had on Friday, you had a Jaron Purify home run. Colin Priest went deep on Sunday, and then Cam Canarella had that knockout 2-run single late innings on Sunday to kind of cement the sweep for Clemson over South Carolina. So I think you kind of look at a mano-a-mano, and Clemson is just the more complete team at this point in the season. But I love that we get to compare 2 really high-level teams in a rivalry atmosphere like we do this year with Clemson and South Carolina. 2 incredible coaches, Eric Bakich and Paul Maneri, going at it one-on-one. This is hopefully the first of many rivalry series we get to see with these 2 head coaches, both absolute gamesmen, just going at it, punch for punch, chess piece. I loved every bit of this weekend series, even though it was a sweep for Clemson, who's now won 5 in a row at South Carolina. But I just thought the minutia of this series was really, really interesting to break down.
Awesome stuff. Really that 3rd weekend in college baseball is when, the rivalries take center stage, those cross-conference type rivals, in-state type showdowns. We had it with Miami and Florida. We had it with South Carolina and Clemson. If you hadn't realized college baseball was underway, it's the 3rd weekend, I think, notoriously each and every year that tells you if you have a pulse, okay, it is percolating in ways that hadn't since the middle of the summer, about the 3rd weekend of the college baseball season. And we know you have a pulse if you are following this show. At Kyle Schass, at SportsCon4, at Dugouts, Dumbbells, Dingers on YouTube. Subscribe. Help us grow the channel at 3D Dingers on Twitter, on X.
Here's a question.
Just want to know, yes.
Does Texas A&M still have a pulse?
No, I don't think so. I feel really bad for the amount of shit that they are getting. Shane Sodeo had to put out a statement very similar to what Kansas went through over the weekend with the loss to Texas Tech.
And then Bill Self,
and Bill Self putting out a statement that was empty in my mind, didn't even truly and directly address what was going on with one of his star players and the amount of vulgarities that were being hurled at him in the slimy cesspool that can be social media and specifically Twitter and X. So much for these people that are in the spotlight, these athletes, these people that go out there and try to give it their all. They're young kids too. I mean, we forget these are 18, 19, 20. Yeah, sure, there's some 22, 23-year-olds, but I mean, my God, do better. Like, these people are part of the problem when, this is sports, okay? It's supposed to bring us together. You're not supposed to break these people down even more. And Texas A&M is going through some stuff right now. Will they figure it out? I sense they will. Like, you just lost probably the heart and soul of your team. I know that Lavalette is a likely top 5 draft pick, but that dude is now he doesn't have the protection either.
Right.
Like, the lineup is become worsened because of the injury to Grahovac. So I don't know, man. It's tough for Michael Early. We know a first-year head coach, has never accomplished this already. So, the expectations might have been exceedingly too high as a preseason #1 team. They fell 13 spots in the poll. They're just going to have to, other guys are going to have to step up. There's time to do so. I'm not worried. I worry about finishing this show in the next 15 minutes, okay? I worry about being able to provide for my daughter. I worry about being able to put food on the table. I worry about where I'm going to get my next Zen, okay? These are things I worry about. Texas A&M, not so much. Borgoballs.
Yeah, Borgoballs. You want to go there? You want me to share it?
Yeah, let's get a quick break in. Let me catch my breath, okay?
All right.
We're going to have our backyard breakdown delivered by Borgoball, okay, when we return. And we're going to focus on Frisco and the LSU Fighting Tigers. That's coming up in a minute here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers.
A true teammate takes on every day with a winner's attitude.
gets up when they fall down, and leaves it all on the field. There's a group of teammates who do all these things every single day. But they're more than your typical athlete. They're kids dealing with unthinkable medical circumstances. Team Impact matches children facing serious illness or disability with college sports teams, creating a long-term, life-changing experience for everyone involved. Help us get all kids in the game. Visit teamimpact.org. Team Impact. All in, all together.
Hi, this is Rob Joyce. Each week, I'm joined by Her Hoopstats' Megan Gower as we break down the latest in women's basketball across the country on College Sports Now. We've got analysis, expert guests, the latest bracketology breakdowns, and more. From coast to coast, we've got you covered with all of the action now through the Final Four in April. Search College Sports Now wherever you get your podcasts, and check out herhoopstats.com for all of your women's basketball needs.
Our boy Blake hit me up yesterday, Con. Our Borgoballs are in the mail. He gave me a tracking number. They're probably going to show up as soon as we get on the road and head to Greenville. So it's going to be another few days before we get to test these things out. But Blake Bergogno, he and his brothers, Brett, Ty, Tatum, this idea really came to fruition about 15 years ago, a pop-up shop, if you will, outside one of his brothers' travel baseball tournaments on the weekend. It sparked countless hours of indoor baseball at home, these foam balls, but trying to revolutionize the game, the indoor baseball game, in a way where the ball is more safe and more accepted. And never before is indoor baseball going to be frowned upon after the invention of the Borgoballs. So this thing, 2,000 balls have already dropped. Okay, that's 500 orders. They're restocking now. Go to backyardbaseballbros.com. Super proud and stoked, excited, thrilled, all of those things to be hooking up with the Borgoball guys to bring you what is our first ever backyard breakdown delivered by Borgoball here on Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers. David Kahn, why don't you take us through it?
All right, here we go. So we go to the Frisco Classic LSU baseball. Let's bring in Daniel Dickinson, Stephen Monster Milam, and Jared Jones for this week's Backyard Baseball Breakdown, presented by Borgoballs.
As Dylan Carey, the hard luck loser this
you got a bounding ball back up the middle. Milam ranging behind the second base bag, fires it to the shortstop, throws to Jones at first with an incredible stretch for the out. Let's watch that one more time. It is absolutely a Sports Center top 10 play. Actually, I should apologize. Daniel Dickinson at second base. But look at this. High bounding ball, takes two hops. He ranges across the middle of the field. A no-look backhanded flip to Milam at short, who gets to Jones, who barely gets the out.
First base and Jones.
What an incredible play.
I
don't know if there's anything more you can say other than just wow, Schass, because that is an absolutely outstanding play by Dickinson to Milam to Jared Jones. And it is a play that we've all done in our backyards and imagined ourselves doing at the highest level. And LSU's double play tandem of Dickinson and Milam just did it.
Yeah, it's like a trick play, something you practice at home from your earliest years of playing baseball on the backyard or even the house, moving in one direction, which Daniel Dickinson did, ranging up the middle. And Stephen Milam, as he will tell us, this audio courtesy of WAFB. Rip this from John Eads. So thank you, John, for putting this on Twitter. Milam will further demonstrate the thought process in being able to pull this off.
You practice that play with Danny at all?
I haven't. I mean, it's kind of just instincts. Like, you just play the game. We play to have fun, and, you know, everybody's going to give us our best shot. So, you know, I mean, we got to just go out there and have fun, and that's what we've been doing.
Do you have any idea who's going to flip that ball there?
Yeah, I told him let's flip it, and, you know, the guy wasn't the fastest, and we knew that, so we gave it a shot. It's kind of expected out of us to get an out, so, I mean, get to the next out, and that's what we did. We needed a big out there, and that's what we got.
Sucks for Dylan Carey. Not only did he get thrown out on the play, the Nebraska hitter, but then Milam throwing some more shade in the post game. Like, we knew he wasn't the fastest guy. Oh man, that was sweet. Sick stuff for them to be able to pull that off in a real moment. I've seen it, I feel like, a couple of times, but that is not a normal baseball play by any means. And I don't know how many times you really think about it. This is a play that is more practiced in the backyard. That's why this is perfect for Borgoball and the Backyard Baseball Bros, because how many times are you actually practicing and simulating this exact situation in a sanctioned practice at OSU. Like maybe you're messing around before or after or beyond the time that a drill is allotting for. But I don't know if Jake Johnson wants these two actually getting reps doing this countless times throughout practice. So instinctual, as Stephen Milam had said. Thank you, John Eats, WAFB, with that post-game
audio. He said he's expected to get the out.
Yeah.
Expected. Look, the cojones on the monster to say that. Wow.
Monster Milam, man. I can't wait for him to start dyeing his hair. I don't think it's dyed yet. I think it
is, actually. I think it's blonde. Yeah.
All right. I couldn't tell. The Borgoball, raised seams, mimic a baseball, giving pitchers the grip they need to throw with precision and spin. Even if you're not a pitcher, even if you're not an elite athlete, you just love the game. You played as a high schooler, you played maybe a little bit in college, or just as a kid, but you love playing ball in the house. Get yourself a Borgoball, backyardbaseballbros.com. Packs of 4, okay? They're restocking now. Tell them that 3D sent you. Backyard Baseball Bros on Instagram, backyardbaseballbros.com. This is what Blake wanted me to impress upon the folks who are consuming our show too. They believe that every kid who loves baseball should experience the Borgoball, not just for its ability to throw MLB caliber pitches, but for the lasting memories you will have playing with your friends or siblings. What more do you need, folks? It's not just for people in their 30s, 40s, hell, 50s. These are for kids now. If you're a parent, you got a young kid, okay, who's just starting to play the game, who's in Little League, whatever it may be, okay, get them some Borgoballs so that training can be nonstop each and every day. It's going to be what's necessary to help mold them and, pay for college, right? That's what I'm trying to get out of Pudge here. So that was our backyard breakdown delivered by Borgoball. We'll have a Borgo softball maybe at some point. Not trying to put any pressure on you there, Blake, but
Can we get some 3D branded Borgoballs potentially?
I sent them the varsity logo, man. Come on.
Oh, that's right.
We're gonna do some mock-ups here at some point.
That's right.
That was a sick moment for LSU baseball. There's no doubt about that. You want to roll right into some box score bingo?
Yeah, so let's start here with the game that we already teased. We talked about the Oregon and Columbia game. There was a 4-game series of which Oregon swept Columbia. Shocker there. They outscored Columbia 70-15 in this series, but half of those runs came in one game when they won 35-1 over the Lions of Columbia. You hate to see it. Here's this breakdown for you. By the way, this is Saturday. It's game 2. Game 1 of a doubleheader on Saturday, and it was a 35-1 final that went 9 full innings. Why? Why are we going 9 in a doubleheader when it's 35-1? Anyways, Oregon scores 2 in the first, 4 in the second, 9 in the third, 8 in the sixth, 6 in the eighth. They hit 4 homers. They broke their all-time record for runs scored in a game. Dominic Hellman 3 for 5 with 4 ribbies. Jacob Walsh 5 runs batted in. Maddox Maloney 2 homers and 6 RBIs. Ryan Cooney with 6 RBIs. Here's the craziest part about this box score, though, Schass. Columbia only used 4 pitchers. In a 35-1, 9-inning game, they only used 4 pitchers. The 2 dudes that had to wear it, Evan Kleinhans, 2 innings, 12 runs on 7 hits. Andrew Argenziano, 2 2/3, 9 hits, 10 runs. Those dudes wore it. Columbia somehow only uses 4 pitchers in a 35-1 loss, which is insane. And not to mention that they just gotten beaten the snot out of in game 1 on Friday, 20-11, because our boy Dominic Hellman hit 2 grand slams in the same game on Friday. This was a demolition by Oregon over Columbia this past weekend. Ducks are going to make us care about Big Ten baseball.
All right, so you got the Ducks and the Lions game. Let's go to Appalachian State and Gardner-Webb.
Yeah.
Number 1, you had an immaculate inning.
Yep.
Okay. Immaculate inning from App State's Caleb Marks. And then you had a 4-homer game and 12 RBI effort from Gardner-Webb's Dale Francis Jr. All in the same 16-4 ball game on Saturday. So that's your dude. Give me more than on Gardner-Webb slugger Dale Francis Jr. if you have it, before I just go over some of the other particulars, because then we got to touch on the perfect game too from a week ago.
We do have to touch on the perfect game from Portland's Ryan Rembis. So Dale Francis Jr. is a 6'3", 230-pound redshirt senior from Fort Pierce, Florida. He is hitting .409 on the season, has 7 home runs, 27 RBIs. As you mentioned, though, 4 of them and 12 runs batted in coming in that one game against Appalachian State over the weekend. That's all I got, all right? I mean, that's all you need, okay? You look at this guy, he's got the true look of a baseball player. I mean, he is yoked, and he flexed on App State over the weekend. I don't have that much on him. I don't need that much.
So
I've already seen all I need to see, all right? You go out there, and you take your bat, and you hit 4 dingers in one game. What else do I need to know about you? You are good at baseball. You're great at baseball. You're better than I would ever be at anything. That's it. That's all I need.
So the unique thing is at the hotel before breakfast or during breakfast, I think on Sunday morning, because this happened on Saturday, Georgia Southern players were I heard them talking about it around the content of the breakfast about how this dude had hit 4 bombs. Really cool stuff. 12 runs between the 5th and 7th innings for Gardner Webb, in which Francis homered in each of those innings, 5th, 6th, and 7th inning. His first bomb came in the first inning. Okay.
Yeah.
So the running Bulldogs led 15-8, and they had to hang on for a 16-14 win. Hang on. That sounds a lot like one of the games that I had. So the other 2 games in my series, 6-5, Georgia Southern Campbell. The game I was on the call for this past week on the Georgia Southern Sports Network. 6-5, powered by Learfield. I know I had to really pause last night because I wasn't trying to bring that into my Duke broadcast, but I got so wired this past weekend.
I listened to you. I heard the out cue.
I'm trying to respect the way Georgia Southern does things. I'm not going to come in. Yeah. I do things my own way. Okay. I'm going to put my own spin on it, but in terms of the way you want things out cued, like, look, I'm just here for the weekend, man. You know, I'm not trying to mess anything up or develop any new habits. I told Rodney Hennon that too, you know, extremely appreciative for me coming in. He wasn't there to see the milestone 6-5 win on a Friday night in 10 innings. He was there for what was a Saturday Game 2 contest that really demonstrates the sheer beauty of baseball, because you win an emotional game, milestone victory on Friday night, and then Saturday, boom, you get hit in the mouth, you're down 14-1. Okay. I'm trying to remember the exact inning. It was 14-1. I want to say it was the 5th. The final ended up being 16-9. So there were still some moments of life for Georgia Southern, but it was one of those games, Kyle, when it's 14-1 game 2, the amount of changes, the amount of arms, dudes coming out of the pen that may not see much more time the rest of the season. You know, you're just getting work out there and trying to provide opportunity too at the same time. I'm not trying to dismiss that these guys might not get chances, but really that was for both sides. As Campbell and Georgia Southern, honestly, we're just trying to get to the finish line. And Rodney Hennon hates the run rule. The run rule had to be agreed upon beforehand, 2 different, leagues in the CAA and the Sun Belt. So that wasn't the case. You did have some firsts in terms of collegiate hits, debuts. So that was really cool. So then you go to the rubber game on Sunday. So here's to conclude Georgia Southern Campbell box score bingo. On Sunday, final score 14-11. Georgia Southern jumped out to an 8-3 lead. They hung on 14-11. They led 14-8 entering the bottom of the 9th inning. That's after they had a Little League home run in the top of the 9th for 2 more runs of insurance, where the ball was misplayed by a newly inserted outfielder, Dalen Thompson. Sorry, I just dropped your name. But Jet music. I got a lot of Jet music over the weekend. That guy is well. We can talk about him more throughout the year. We don't have time today. Didn't hit the ball as well, but I did get to see him come from the outfield in relief on Friday night. He ended up taking the loss. So Georgia Southern was able to get to him in that 9th inning on Friday. But Thompson's in center. He allowed a skyward, just a extremely high ball that just come down in front of him. He potentially could have caught it, let it drop to try and keep it in front, but that synthetic surface, it dropped right on the big oversized Camel C, and then bounced, just trampolined up over his head and rolled all the way to the back of the wall. Rolled all the way to the wall from the center, from mid-center field. So it was a 2-run inside the Parker. What's more, there were 4 different Eagles who tripled in that game for the first time since 1975. They had 4 different guys triple in a ball game. So super unique. It was crazy. Perfect game though. Ryan Rambis. Right?
Rambis. Yeah, Ryan Rambis from Portland. The Portland Pilots.
90 pitches. I had to triple check this because
86 pitches.
I got 90. I had to dive in 3 different areas to get an exact box score because number one, the game story does not have it. The box score that's linked does not have it. I had to go to the players page. Come on, Portland. Do better. Do better, Portland.
The graphics said 86. Yeah, there it is, 90. Yep, okay.
So the
All right.
Portland graphic had 86?
The Portland graphic, when he threw the perfect game, said 86 pitches.
Yeah, and they were wrong. So, like, come on.
It's still a Maddox. It's still a Maddox, all right? It doesn't matter. 90 pitches or less is a Maddox. 9 innings, 12 Ks, 90 pitches. No hits. Maddox. That's it. It still counts.
It's the 21st
Yes.
9-inning perfect game.
21st perfect game overall, I believe.
21st over a 9-inning game. It's the 37th overall.
Oh, yes, you're right. Yes.
When you're counting 7-inning games.
Correct.
First in Pilots program history, first no-hitter for the Pilots since 1958. He had 6 fly balls, struck out 12, allowed 9 ground balls. Good for a guy, Ryan Rembis, who, if you pull up his player page, which I have a number of times here over the last week or so, the man resembles somebody who needs a cameo in Outer Banks #1, or he can be a body double for Willie Poulter, the actor. Willie Poulter. If you type him in, he looks identical to Willie Poulter. The most recent thing I've seen him in was Dope Sick with Michael Keaton. So, no, it's Billy Cutler in that show. He's selling drugs. He is selling drugs, folks. Ryan Rambis was dealing on the mound last week, though, not to be confused with Will Poulter.
Yes. Here's the thing. Do you know who threw the last perfect game before Ryan Rembis?
Was it Bryce Jarvis? No, we had a Maryland guy.
Yes, a Maryland guy, Ryan Ramsey. A couple of Ryans just tossing perfect games, which is funny because that's actually the only 2 Ryans that have ever thrown a perfect game in college baseball. But they're the last 2. It was April 29, 2022 by Maryland's Ryan Ramsey for the 36th perfect game in college baseball history. This is number 37. So, fun little factoid. Only 2 Ryans have thrown a perfect game in college baseball. Ryan Ramsey, Ryan Rembis. That's it.
You gave your dude already from
I did.
Webb? My dude is Sam White from West Virginia then, which you shared with me. The cartwheeling catch. Why don't you break that one down? He's coming in from right field?
He is. I have the video actually pulled up.
That was insane.
I have it pulled up. Let me share it with you real quick. Here we go.
I got to show this to Pudge once I get back in town.
All right, here we go. Here is the Sam White cartwheel. So they're in Greensboro, North Carolina.
That he's faced.
First National Bank Field, fly ball down the line and right. The second baseman, Sam White, comes out of nowhere, catches it, and then cartwheels to his right as he makes the catch and gives a little wry smile and a shrug of his shoulders as he makes the catch. One more time for you. So this is a 4-game series. West Virginia against Queens. They played 2 in Kannapolis, 1 in Greensboro, 1 in Charlotte. West Virginia swept all 4, but Sam White with the play of the weekend as he catches it while cartwheeling. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, he is my dude. I got a few SDAs I want to run through real quick, and then you can empty your notebook, and we'll just touch on what we're looking for this weekend and get the hell out of here, okay? Army's travel.
Ooh, yes.
Did you see them travel?
Huge blimp? Yes, absolutely. They do that every year once. They do it one time, but it was very cool. Yeah,
they take a trying to get the name of the flight, but yeah, they basically take one of their big bomber aircrafts, freight crafts, if you will, that can fit a whole baseball team on it to the road trips. That was pretty cool. On the same Service Academy topic, Navy had some sweet threads, man. Sweet threads. The uniform game is strong for Navy. Okay.
Yeah.
Go find it at Navy Baseball. What they had wore. I mean, Army, Navy, they never disappoint on the football field with their uniform game, but it carries over into baseball, and I'm sure a lot of their other sports as well. So that was cool to see. And then our boy, Matt Michaels. Okay?
Yes.
Matt Michaels of Mizzou tweeted this out yesterday. Some guy at a World Baseball Classic qualifier. I got to make sure I have the 2 countries. I think Germany was playing. But some dude is playing the trumpet, and it's the Mizzou fight song.
I saw this.
Germany and China.
Yes.
And there's some guy sitting in the bleachers, standing up, full attention, just killing it, just vibing, just doing his thing, playing the Mizzou fight song. Shouts to that guy. So Mizzou needs, they need good.
Is that the foreign version of Timmy Trumpets?
I guess it would be.
Yeah.
I guess it would be. What else you got? And then I'll give my hat tip.
Okay, so before I get into my stuff, I do want to talk about the double bag thing real quick because we brought it up, the Stetson and Florida one. So for those who are unaware, there was a game in the midweek, Stetson and Florida. What happened was there was the bottom of the 7th inning. Stetson thought they had tied the game on a Salvador Alvarez chop ball single that he had outran the throw by the shortstop, getting Evan Griffiths in from third. However, after the play was over and they counted the run, Kevin O'Sullivan comes out of the dugout and goes, take a look. I think he stepped on the wrong bag, the white bag, the fielder's bag, not the outside bag, the orange bag, the runner's bag. They reviewed it. They said, yep, Kevin O'Sullivan's correct. You are out. However, there caused some stir, and Stetson's coach immediately came out and protested the game. Steve Trimper is his name. Immediately comes out, puts the game under protest, and he goes, now I thought the rule was you have to go and tag the guy to declare him out. You can't just call for a video review. So there's the whole stir from this protest because he's not arguing whether or not he touched part of the white bag, because the rule is if you touch part of the white bag, you can be tagged out. However, I don't think they went back and tagged him. I think Kevin O'Sullivan just called for a video review. I'm not sure. So I haven't seen all the definitive video here. So if I'm wrong, don't at me, but you can at me at SportsCon4. It's fine.
Get after him and at him. So
Steve Trimper is saying, well, he called for a video review, but you didn't tag him. So he's not out either way. He did violate the rule, but you didn't tag him. So he's technically still safe because he came back and touched the bag. So that's the debate and the controversy. And this may cause more things to be ironed out with this rule, because this is a new rule, right, that people are adjusting to this year. We saw it in Hoover for the first time at the SEC tournament. Now it's more widespread across the game of college baseball. So we'll see what happens with that. It also was a problem in Wake's midweek game against Elon, in which Elon scored 6 runs in the top of the first, but their head coach, Elon's coach, got tossed in the top of the first for arguing a double bag protested call as well, and then Wake came back and won that one 9-6. So the double bag is causing some issues right now in college baseball. We'll see how that gets ironed out. Not this year, obviously, but with all the incidents we have yet to come, because there will be more. We'll see what happens with that moving forward. I want to get into my hat tip for the week. We're going to go to the Bonnies, Schass. St. Bonaventure is my hat tip of the week, and it's going to go to Mr. Paul Vossen, who stole 7 bases in one game against UT Martin, the most stolen bases in a Division I game since 24 years. 7 steals in a game for Paul Vossen for St. Bonaventure.
Paul Vossen, 5'9", 170 pounds.
Yes. Soaking wet.
Redshirt senior out of Reno, Nevada. Yeah, he is. Yeah, the only way he's hitting 170 is if he's straight out of the kiddie pool. All right. Let's see.
So
Business management major. Favorite MLB team, Detroit Tigers. Favorite all-time player is Ricky Henderson.
Oh, there we go.
Deep cut.
There we go.
Deep cut. RIP.
Deep cut. All right. So SDAs for me, because you gave yours. I have a couple. First off, got to shout out the Campbell Nobodies from Nowhere jerseys. We've talked about Campbell so much on this podcast, but worthwhile. They're also available for auction, by the way. If you want to buy the Nobodies from Nowhere jerseys from Campbell, go get them. They're sick. Couple other SDAs. Rest in peace to Florida baseball social media, and I'm talking about FGCU and USF, all right? Because they got this weekend, all right? Let's take a look at Florida Gulf Coast first, okay? So we'll go to Florida Gulf Coast. They were playing Georgia this weekend. 11.7 screenshotted these two things. Shout out to our boys at 11.7. We'll get to Jack DeLongchamp, who's a part of that network, in just a moment, actually. So Florida Gulf Coast playing Georgia. They're up 5-1. You see this first screenshot, and FGCU baseball screenshots it and goes, they supposed to be SEC? Hashtag wings up. And then final score, 10-9. We have relieved the admin of their duties. 2 more opportunities tomorrow. That was amazing. So there's SDA number 1. SDA number 2 goes to UCF baseball, who was playing USF, the Battle of I-4 over the weekend. And you've got UCF. This guy retweeted at UCF or tweeted at UCF after USF won the first game with a run rule. He said, "Run rule, y'all. You're in the Big 12. You still can't beat us." And UCF Baseball's official Twitter account, speaking of run rules in the Big 12, retweets the final 2 games of the series where they run ruled USF in back-to-back games, 12-1 and 12-2. Like, you can't make this stuff up, man. You just can't make it up. It's absolutely incredible. That's awesome.
That's hysterical. The shade is, you can feel it. I mean, only baseball can deliver those sort of moments and digs. I think they just hit different in the game of baseball. Accidentally in Love, the song by the Counting Crows. I know you saw this from like a week ago, the Wake Forest creative team.
Yep.
Our boy Jack actually had reposted it.
He had.
So cool. The highlight recap and the choreography of the players and the cuts and the lyrics and everything, and them just having a joyous time and really implementing the Nat sound too, the crack of the bat and the crowd, upbeat, high energy type song. How can you not be romantic about baseball type stuff? Like, that was really cool too. So I thought that's worth mention. Wake Forest creative team reminds me in a lot of ways of Notre Dame and their football creative team. Football hits a little bit harder, obviously. You know, the music selection hits a little bit harder, but those Notre Dame hype videos ahead of each of their playoff games and really all season long, truly undefeated. They are the GOATs. But in terms of the college baseball game, the creative edits that I've seen, we had this last year too. I know we talked about it a couple of times with Wake. So it's continuing, but don't drop the game, you know, when David Kahn fills in on the radio that they did inexplicably when they had victory right there.
Oh, brutal.
Right there.
You saved the best story for last, though, Kyle Schassburger. You went to the barber.
Yes, went to the barber shop for the first time in 10 years. A barber shop. I walked inside a barber shop, a place that cuts hair, an establishment that provides haircuts for the first time in a decade, because your boy has been shaving his head for a decade, okay? And I can't tell you the nostalgia. It's unmeasurable that I felt. Okay, the feelings, the hair that I did have on my face, but on my arms and on my legs, it was just standing straight up because of the excitement of what I was about to endure. And I had been putting this off, a beard barber. Okay, I went for the beard haircut. I knew a guy, I looked up, I'd been putting this place, Ardmore Barbershop. Okay, Ardmore in Winston-Salem.
Right across from Gingerbread Man Bakery.
Yes, it is. I've been eyeing this place down for years. Every time I get rid of the mustache and go full beard, you know, it gets out of hand at one point. It becomes too much. I'm Edward Scissorhanding my face, and it's all out of whack. Like, I need some TLC. So I
only play Edward 40 Hands.
Well, I love Edward 40 Hands. I subscribe to that. It's been a while, but
me too.
Edward Scissor. Normally when I go into Chicago, there's always an Edward 40 Hands celebration one of the nights. But anyways, I saw my boy Dalton, who's a power lifter. He competes. Used to work the door over at Whiskey Dogs for a short time as well. I've golfed with him. Met him when I worked over at Winding Creek more regularly at the golf course a couple of years back. I saw he's cutting hair. So I'm like, dude, I hit him up. I'm like, can you fit me in? I'm going out of town this weekend. I'm out of town next week. I just need you to make it look good, man. Work your magic. And to sit in that chair, to have I don't even know what these things are called because I haven't even been in a barbershop in 10 years. Like what's the sheet? To have him throw the sheet over me to protect my front, snap it.
Apron? I don't know.
Yeah, apron. Whatever they put around your neck and it sits across your body.
The cover.
The
cover. Yeah.
Do we call it the cover? Do we call it the hood?
I don't
does it
know.
have a name?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, he took the hood and the cape and flung it across my front.
The cape. Yeah, let's
go
with the
cape. And, you know, we just chatted for a good 30, 40 minutes and man lined me all up, evened it out, blended it up top, gave me a little beard juice. Man, it was so satisfying. 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. It made me feel 10 years younger.
I'm going to leave you with this based off that. That's amazing. First of all, great story. Also, if you're in Winston-Salem, Gingerbread Man Bakery, our boy Wade Lindsay's shop, go check it out. Delicious. Everything incredible. Guy doesn't miss. Hit it. And hit it.
There are direct flights wherever you are listening or watching in the country. Just try to find a flight to Greensboro or worst case, Charlotte or Raleigh, and then you can rent a car and just come down to Winston-Salem and I'll buy you a beer. And then you can get some from Wade's Bakery.
There you go. Anyways, I'm going to leave you with this because you talk about your facial hair made me curious what the best mustache in college baseball is. And guess what? I found it. And he's on West Virginia. And his name is Jack Kartsonis. And here he is.
Oh, give it to me. Give him to me.
Look at
Let me
it. And
see
the reason
this
I found this, here he is.
That looks like a horseshoe. It looks like somebody. It looks like a
It's
horse
Raleigh
stomped
fingers.
his mouth.
Raleigh Fingers reincarnated, baby. All right. So, anyways, here it is. The reason I found this is because Jack DeLongshore, we said we were going to bring him up in the pod. He tweeted at West Virginia Baseball, "Can you get me in touch with this gentleman? I have a lot of questions regarding the art of the mustache." And he replied, "Here I am." Jack Cartson is a man of the people and has the best mustache in college baseball. I cannot wait to go visit with Jack Cartsonis here shortly at a couple weekends. When I go to Morgantown to call some West Virginia baseball, I will get the story behind the stash. I promise you. And I will bring it back to this podcast, Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers, for you, our faithful listeners.
He is a pitcher, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure. I had a video sent to me earlier reminding me of Al Herbrowski. Do you know this guy? The Mad Hungarian? I'm going to share a video.
Yes, the Mad Hungarian.
The Mad
yes,
Hungarian. Freaking
yes.
awesome, dude. Wild man. And you know what that reminded me of, too? Crazy psychotic relievers and closers. We had Brian Curley 2 weeks ago, and then we had Alex Valentin of Texas State in the midweek win over A&M earlier this week. Aggies go 1-3. Valentin's out there Kang Lavalette, and he's just pumping his chest. He's reminding me of the major league scene where Serrano, it's the Asian guy, Tanaka, I think.
Yeah.
Where he's like, marbles. You have no, he's just dropping his hand. You have no marbles. And like, this dude is just, he is F-bombing every second up there on the mound. He's jerking, he's dancing. Man, if I'm a hitter, no way. No, thank you. I'm going right back to the dugout. But it all reminds me of the Mad Hungarian in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
but nobody, go ahead.
No, go you go.
That horseshoe, go ahead.
I was just going to say that horseshoe just.
Oh, okay. I was gonna close by bringing this all back to Omaha because nothing was more psychotic than Omaha men's basketball and their celebration after winning the conference title and banging a trash can and their AD jumping out of a trash can to celebrate with the title. So it all comes back to Omaha. Omaha's not that far away, folks. College baseball is here, but we out. We go into Greenville, SEC women's basketball. Tune in on the SEC radio network. Tune in on the Varsity Network app. Rob Joyce, Gabe Genovese, that guy, Kyle Schassburger, myself, David Kahn. We got you covered. All the games this week. Going to be awesome. Peace.
If you want to see what's happening this weekend or this week, just go to D1 Baseball. Okay? I'm not seeing a lot that lets my whistle flow. We'll talk about it all next week. Enjoy, folks.